What's up, y'all? And welcome back to Dad Needs to Talk. I'm your host Robert, and today we just gonna be doing a little bit of catching up because it's been a very busy last couple of weeks. I'm gonna be talking about Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, Akane Banashi, and the Expanse, and a little bit more. So I hope everybody out there is doing well. And as always, if this is your first time here, then welcome. But if you're a returning listener and or watcher, then welcome back. Y'all know here at Danny's to Talk, it's all about fatherhood and family, manga, anime, TV shows, movies, and of course, some video games. So, like I said, it has been a pretty busy last couple of weeks. Um, just lot of just life and family stuff going on. Work ended up picking up a bit, so I hadn't been able to record for a good week or so. But today, I want to do even though this might be a little bit of a shorter episode, but still had a lot I want to pack into this short time that I do have. But I know I'm a week or so late, but I still just want to say shout out to all the fellow dads out there. Happy belated Father's Day to all the dads and stuff out there. It's pretty crazy, even just for myself, reflecting on my life, my family, and everything in between that's happened in the last decade or so. It's crazy just thinking in like, my boys are 16, 12, and 7, and then my daughters, twin girls, they're 15. Ooh. So yeah, it's just crazy to, I got kids that big and everything, but hey, they keep me busy, keep me motivated, keep me and my wife going. But yeah, just shout out to all the dads out there. And yeah, aside from that, like I said, just life stuff. Yeah, it's kind of weird that looking at the calendar that we're already towards the end of June. It's just like, where has the time gone? It is just flown by. But yeah, so a little bit of housekeeping. So later this week, um, I will have I guess my first official game review discussion. So there's a game called Ruffy and the Riverside that I have been playing for a few weeks now. So shout out to the company, I think it's Zoo Crates, and then the PR company Pirate PR that got me a review code a few weeks ago now, whatever. It's kind of crazy that the game will come out on the 26th, and I got that code like at the beginning of the month. So I've already been in the game. I've platinumed it 100% everything. So look out for that in the coming days. Um, and yeah, aside from that, so just kind of just jumping into a couple of just quick game things. So I've still been every day pretty much now. It's become part of a daily routine now. Me and Vash are playing the Switch, primarily, of course, Mario Kart. Um, we still, we'll play Boomerang Fu as well. I just picked up, so there is a Ninja Turtles game that I talked about a while back called Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. It's out on all platforms now fully, but it's the one that's kind of like designed like Hades a little bit. That's kind of like a run based story style action game. So um, I'm bringing it up because it's on sale on the Switch. So like the whole bundle with all the DLC and stuff is like $15, $16. So I was like, because I've been kind of debating on like, man, getting it on the Switch because that seems like a perfect place to play it, or getting it on my PS5. And it was like, well, it's on sale on the Switch or whatever. So I bought it and downloaded it a while ago. So I look forward to maybe getting to dive into it a little bit before I go to bed tonight. But yeah, just wanted to shout that out. But yeah, so kind of looking to continue to build up my Switch collection in the coming weeks. Cause last week we had that the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, and man, like I was already like a little bit excited for the game, but just like the more in depth stuff that they showed, I was like, oh yeah, this is probably gonna be a day one purchase for me. Um, oh, and speaking of games coming up that I'm excited for as well, so the other day they did a new trailer promotion for the upcoming I think it's like Sonic racing cross worlds game. And so they've announced that pretty much they're doing a crossover. So I think they've already shown that there's gonna be like other Sega characters, like somebody like the guy from Persona 5 and somebody from Yakuza and other series like that. But they're going outside of Sega stuff, and they're gonna have Minecraft, SpongeBob, Ninja Turtles, characters from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then there's gonna be two more surprises they're gonna announce later this year. But yeah, I saw that, and, me and Vash watched that trailer, and I even showed my middle son Andre, and we was like, yeah, that's gonna be a day one purchase. But now that's another thing. I'm like, do I get it on my PS5? Because I would love to see like the fidelity and stuff and get them trophies. But I'm also like, man, Switch 2, that'd be a great game to where like we can play on the TV if we need to. But hey, if we want to be on the go or whatever and play it, I don't know. So I'm gonna have to debate on that. But that's coming out in September, so I got some time to think about it. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much it as far as like gaming stuff. Lately, I have been kind of eyeballing, thinking about getting Pokemon Violet, but I'm like, Pokemon ZA is coming out in October, so I'm like, I don't know. So, but anywho, life with the Switch 2 has been going pretty well these last few weeks. So, but moving on from that, so I'm going and dive into some of the stuff I've been watching and different things like that. So, I think, let's see, you know what? I'm gonna start with Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff. So, I had some free time the other day, and I was like, you know what? What was it? Oh, matter of fact, Juneteenth, because I was off of work that day, and I was like, you know what? I've been behind on my movies and stuff, so it's time for me to start playing some catch up. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and watch Ballerina, and I'll just say, just straight up, man, like. If you're a fan of John Wick and those movies and stuff, whatever, then this is a super easy recommendation because this movie, I don't know, like timeline wise, where it takes place at. I don't know if it's like between like because there's like some parts of it that's like from maybe like movie 2 or 3. I don't know. Okay, I looked it up for clarification. So it takes place primarily between the third and fourth movie. Just because like there's some stuff where uh John Wick is kind of like looking for asylum and stuff like that or whatever. So it pretty much happens between 3 and 4 for the most part and stuff. So, but the movie itself takes place over a long period of time because it starts off with the main character as a kid, and then seeing the tragic thing that happens to her that leads her into this life or whatever. But yeah, but all in all though, like I said, just simple, straight to the point. Dope movie, super awesome action sequences and stuff. And one of the cool things that I appreciated about the movie though is that while the main character, while she is very good at what she does, her name is Eve. While Eve is very good at what she does, they also still showcase that hey, she's still fairly new at this, whatever. Because she has some moments where she kind of like slips up a little bit or fumbles along the way. And I love like later in the movie there is a fight sequence between her and John Wick, and like it just easily just shuts down like okay yeah she's good but she's not near flawless like this dude, like to the point where it's like hey, he could have killed you 15 million different ways, but he's trying to talk you down out of the situation and stuff. So but I really appreciated that moment, and I also appreciated all of the cameos and stuff. Of course, seeing Lance Reddick rest in peace, seeing him in this movie just like hit my heart. I was like, man, because like when they went to the Continental and stuff, I was like, it hit my heart. And then dope seeing Norman Reedus in there as well. And yeah, so but yeah, but all in all though, like I said, overall it was a super dope, super dope movie. Like I said, highly recommend if you enjoy John Wick. It is a easy watch and an easy recommendation for me. I also appreciated like later in the movie, like the freaking flamethrower sequence and stuff. Yeah, like that. That's one thing about these movies is that I like how they continue to just find new and creative ways to do different fight sequences and things of that nature. So, but yeah, so Ballerina, go check it out. Okay, next up, I just got to show some love for The Expanse. I am sorry it is taking me so long to get around to this, but shout out to that new game. What is it called? The new Expanse game that got revealed during Summer Game Fest called Osiris Reborn for finally giving me that final push to start this series. So since the last time I recorded a podcast episode, I've watched the first 3 seasons, which is 36 episodes. And man, I freaking enjoyed it. Like every day when I got home, on the weekends when I was free, I was just watching these episodes as much as possible. And yeah, so 36 episodes over the last like week and a half, 2 weeks. Like, so for those who do not know, so The Expanse is a sci-fi show that pretty much takes place in the far-flung future that follows this main character named James Holden, and pretty much his kind of I guess you can kind of describe it as like his like ragtag crew, because over the course of the show and stuff, he he has a crew, but his crew is made up of such a diverse group of people, from people that were born on Earth, people that were born on Mars, people that were born in the outer uh asteroid belts called belters, and all this different stuff. And it has like the politics side of things, and like so like the crazy sci-fi with alien tech and creatures and stuff, whatever. But I just, like I said, I just appreciated just how everything just comes together with this show. Um, and I look forward to continuing it, though I feel like season 3 was a really solid stopping point, which makes sense because I saw that I guess it had got originally canceled after the first 3 seasons. Then they brought it back some years later and they finished it off with 3 more seasons. But yeah, but I feel like these first 3 seasons on their own are very strong because you get a journey of growth with pretty much everybody in the crew, as well as several of the surrounding characters and stuff. And I'll say that like different characters, like no character is truly safe, I feel, because I feel like almost anybody could have got you know shot out into outer space, because there are definitely some moments early on where things seem all happy, things are going well, and then somebody double crosses, backstabs, kills somebody, or does something shady, and somebody dies, and it's like, oh, okay, so that person is gone. But yeah, so shout out to The Expanse, man. Like I said, like I don't really know like what, if there was like any like really true like super favorite standout moment, but like I said, I could just say like just as a whole, it just kept me wanting to watch and find out more and see what's going to happen next and different things like that. And like I said, as the kind of more alien nature of things continue to grow and become more prevalent or whatever, it just made me just more curious to find out like, okay, what is going on. But yeah, so shout out to The Expanse. Yeah, like I said, I look forward to hopefully watching more. But like I said, I feel like after that end of season 3, it kind of hit like a momentum stop for me or whatever. But you know, it happens from time to time with shows. But so yeah, so definitely looking forward to playing that game, because that Osiris game takes place during those first 3 seasons. So yes, I look forward to that whenever that comes out. So next up, K-pop Demon Hunters. Now I'll just say, like, this movie and the title is pretty much, it is what it says it is. It is about some K-pop stars who are actual demon hunters. Now that's a pretty fun and cool concept, because when I heard it, I was like, hmm. And then, like, yeah, off the gate, it immediately pulls you in. So this is a Korean animated movie, just like the one I talked about a few weeks ago called Lost in Starlight. So in this world, for generations going back centuries, there has always been a group of basically performers, I guess is the best way to describe it, um, that use the power of their voice and their performance to keep the demons sealed in their realm and to also fight the few that do kind of like leak into the real world and stuff. So it's modern day, and the current generation of hunters are K-pop idols. And so throughout this movie, it is just you can just tell how much fun the crew and stuff was having with this, just with how expressive the characters and stuff were in different moments and just different sequences that happened, like the fights and stuff were super dope and super on point. Um, they of course, uh, poke fun at, like the people fangirling over K-pop idols and stuff and boy band and stuff. Cause one of the cool things is mild spoilers, but the primary antagonist later in the movie is a boy band group of demons. And it was just very funny, just like when like the demon overlord, when the guys present the idea and he's like, wait, so your idea is a demon boy band. And yeah, it was just so funny just seeing how all that played out and seeing the girls swoon and fall over these guys, whatever. But yeah, but all in all, like I said, it was just like a very good movie in general. Even as somebody who's not necessarily like a big K-pop person, but I do respect the music and the culture and stuff. But yeah, the fight sequences were awesome and on point. The music and songs were all fantastic and on point. And the characters, like I said, were just very fun, and they all had their different flaws, but also showed room for growth over the course of the movie and stuff. So, which, like I said, which I think made it just that much more fun and enjoyable to watch. So, but yeah, so K-pop Demon Hunters, it is on Netflix. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Okay, so just a few more things I just want to just touch on really briefly. So, anime wise, I finished watching The Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows. Now, all in all, it was an overall solid show, but my problem is more so with like the pacing and structure of some of the episodes, because I talked about it back when it happened, but I feel like episode one, they should not have did episode one like that, because it felt like it like threw you into the middle of a show, and then for like the first part of the episode, and then like the back half kind of sort of get into it, and then episode two is truly the real episode one. And like I went and looked, I remember going and like checking out the manga after those first like couple of episodes, whatever. And yeah, episode two is pretty much how the manga starts. So I still don't know why they did that, especially because of how things went in the end. I feel like that episode one would have been better utilized at the end to give more time and closure for the season, because all in all, like I said, like I feel like this show is like 80% good. But like I said, the beginning and then like I said, like the end felt like, man, like it left you hanging for more, but not necessarily in a good way, more so like, yo, hey, you still had some things that you could have wrapped up a little bit in this part to set up for, future seasons and stuff. Because obviously, I know like the manga and the light novel are still going, so there's still probably plenty more to talk about. But yeah, so like I said, like in general, the show was pretty dope. And I guess just as a reminder for anybody who doesn't know, so the Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows follows a character named Xenos, who is more or less a self-taught healer who gets kicked out of a party, and he ends up opening up his own clinic down in the slums because one, he's unlicensed and stuff, and he ends up working with and forming a bond with the basically like the three leads of the different primary factions within the slums of the city or whatever. and they form a bond and stuff. He continues to grow in notoriety and stuff for his skills and helping people and stuff. And he ends up getting brought in to help with a bigger mystery happening within the royal capital. And that part was pretty cool, super dope. And it kind of was in repayment for him for helping out. He was going to get some more information about his mentor from back in the day. And things went good. He got the information, but we as the viewers did not get that because he is handed a letter towards the end. And the final shot of the freaking season is like him. Well, he opens the letter, but then, like, at the end of the show, like, somebody seemingly familiar is walking through the door, and then it cuts, and I'm like, why? So, but like I said, all in all, solid show. It's available in both sub and dub on Crunchyroll, 12 episodes, I believe. So, check it out. Next up, I don't really have too much to say, but I caught up on Spy Family as well. I was a good chunk of episodes behind on Spy Family. Let me see. I was 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was maybe 9 or so episodes behind on Spy Family, I think, or 9 or so chapters, I should say, um, behind on Spy Family. But all in all, it was pretty solid. The chunk I was caught back up on was mainly focused on Anya and some progression she's making at school with different other students. And then the second chunk was primarily where we kind of got a little bit more insight into people, basically like her comrades and stuff within her assassin side, because we've never really gotten too many people aside from like the primary like person that Yor reports to, and then like this like the older man that she kind of worked with during that the cruise ship arc or whatever. But aside from that, we didn't really get much because even like like with Lloyd, we've gotten Fiona who works with him at the doctor's office or whatever, but she's also a spy like him. But yeah, so that's one thing that I've continued to enjoy with the show is that it is constantly rotating through the primary cast of characters and continually expanding on them, both in a sense of giving more backstory for them, but also expanding the surrounding characters with them, because all these characters, Lloyd, Yuri, all of them have their own things going on outside of like just like the core family setting. So like I said earlier with Anya and us kind of, it's a new school year, so there are newer students brought in and classes switched up and mixed around. So kind of seeing her expand her friend circle and stuff of like the different students that she knows and stuff. Of course, like every milestone of the manga has been a expansion on the Desmond family, because it's like at the beginning, like 30 chapters in, we got more stuff with the dad, and then 60 chapters in, we got more stuff with the mom, and then 90 chapters in, we got a little bit more stuff with Damien's brother. So I like that we're kind of getting those milestones with him. And yeah, and so like I said, like now we're kind of circled back to Yor again, where Yor, like I said, we're kind of learning like, oh, we got to meet some other assassins that she is comrades and stuff with. And yeah, and so Yor just finished coming back from this big mission that she was on out in the jungle and stuff with that group. And I'm kind of curious to see like where it happens now, because it ends with her knocking on Lloyd's door. So it's like, okay, is it gonna be something goofy again, or is it gonna be some actual real story progression in a meaningful way with that? So, but yeah, so looking forward to seeing where that goes with Spot Family. Okay, last but certainly not least, Akane Banashi. Like, man, this series is back in full force. Um, yeah, man, like I was about 15 or so chapters behind, and yeah, they they stuff is cooking back up again because where I had left off, Akane had just finished her first performance back after the 3 year time skip of her being in Paris and stuff, and now coming back to the U.S. And I loved how we kind of got to see just like all the different reactions to everybody finding out that okay, Akane is she's back on the scene, she's back in town. And and just kind of getting to see like how much all the other side characters and stuff have grown as well while she is gone, but also kind of getting to see like there are still higher heights for her to grow and to overcome. And yeah, seeing this look from Master Isho, which brings me to the next point. This man is a literal demon because seeing I don't even know, man. Like the best way I kind of described him while reading this all was he kind of reminds me of like a Askeladd figure from Vinland Saga with Thorfinn, of how because of the fact of like he killed Akane's father's career at the start of the series, which gave her motivation to start doing Rakugo professionally to avenge him, or whatever. And of course, over the course of the series, things have happened, and she ends up, recently before the time skip, she ended up having to uh, work under him as his pupil, one of his students, whatever, because her other master, got tragically ill, and so everybody from that group got split up amongst the other uh, Rakugo masters and stuff. So the final like big sticking point with this all was this moment where so she's already getting ready to like commit to get into this big performance where it was like, okay, hey, this is the next big milestone. But Master Isho gives her a challenge. He says, show that you can win without making the audience laugh. And that is just so cruel. And once again, reminding me of so many times in Vinland Saga where Askeladd would send Thorfinn on these crazy missions, be like, all right, hey, go fight that person, but you can't do X, Y, Z, or whatever, or different thing like heck, like having Thorfinn go up against Thorkel like that one time, whatever, and seeing Thorfinn get clobbered into the sky or uppercut into the sky off that horse. But yeah, but that's what this moment felt like. It's just like how much more brutal can you make this girl's journey or whatever? But she ended up, continuing to fight, continuing to persevere, of course, banging her head against the wall. And yeah, it's in the long run just going to make her that much more stronger, though. Because so we got this moment, where she's like, I'm coming for it all. It's time to lock in. And we got this very dope, uh, all red or like red with the pink kimono and stuff, color spread of her. But the final shot, though, of this most recent chapter, or whatever, because the chapter before, or earlier in this chapter, whatever, she was out near the water, whatever, like muttering something, or whatever. So it seems like she was out there all night. Because she almost got disqualified because they thought that she wasn't on site for the final stage of the competition or whatever. But it's like, no, she was there. She was just in this other room resting or whatever. And then she comes out looking all just like super tired and exhausted. And she just says, I've become only Rakugo. And that's where it stops. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, we're either about to get a performance of a lifetime from Akane because she already was doing phenomenal in the prelims and stuff, whatever, and actually managed to do the performance she wants to do without making the audience laugh, whatever. But it wasn't enough to get her. She made it like yeah, ranked in like the top 5 of the people that made it or whatever. But she went and she had that kind of like aha moment when they were out eating, and the guy at the restaurant made her a new specialty dish, and he said something to her that finally made the final pieces click in her head, and she's like, okay, basically I know what I need to do, and this is the image we get of her. But yeah, I'm like, I hope it's a legendary performance and that it's not a situation where she ends up getting sick during or midway through or whatever, end up basically having what I dub the Hinata flu game from Haikyuu, where he pushed himself too hard, and spoilers for Haikyuu, but he pushed himself too hard, and though like that semifinals, whatever match it was, and he ended up having to get taken to the infirmary or whatever, and they lost, and whatever. But I don't think that's gonna happen here because the difference between this and that though is that when that happened in Haikyuu, there was a major time skip that happened afterwards versus this is coming off of a major time skip, so hopefully nothing tragic happens like that or whatever and stuff. So, but yeah, but all in all, though, like I said, I am just beyond excited to see where these next coming chapters and stuff go because, yeah, like I said, things are set up really, really nice with Akane. But yeah, but I love that series, but I do feel like this is definitely one of those ones that I talk about all the time. Just like Spy Family, and sometimes with me and like Sakamoto Days and stuff, there's just some series that I feel like flow really well in a binge read. And Akane is one of the best at that because I remember last time I did a catch up, either like earlier this year or end of last year, I was over 50 chapters behind. And yo, like this 15 chapter stretch was good, but man, getting to read 50 chapters of Akane, mm. And shout out to the homie Kita from Wild Weird and Witchy podcast because she saw my post and was like, all right, it's time for me to finally catch up. I'm like, okay, cool. And me not knowing that she hasn't read since like chapter 20. So I was like, okay, yeah. You got a fire binge read coming up for you if you haven't read since chapter 20 and we on chapter, well, like 163. So you got 100 and like 40 plus chapters of Akane to read. Yeah, yeah. Bam. So go read Akane Banashi. And yeah, so I think that's going to be it, man. This is a pretty stuffed and packed 30-minute episode, but hey, had to get it in because I got to get to bed. But yeah, like I mentioned at the top of the show, be on the lookout later this week for my review. Still got to figure out how I've been doing like writing down ideas and stuff of how I'm gonna fully do it or whatever. But looking forward to talking about more about Ruffy and the Riverside video game later this week. And yeah, so with that being said, as I always say, treat yourself to something nice. Read some manga, watch some anime, TV shows, and movies, play some video games. Sorry, it's been a while. And of course, live your best life. And with that, I am out. Y'all have an awesome day and/or week, and I will catch you on the next one. Y'all be easy. Peace. Mm-hmm.